that long day behind you. Good times lie ahead. With company worth keeping, that'll bash a smile on your head. Come on in, the door's open, you'll find just the finest folks here. Pull up a chair, grab a drink, and lend our stories your ear. Cause we're the talk the tavern. Here you're always welcome. The talk the tavern. Promising beer and bedlam. The talk the tavern. Music, medicine, then some. The talk the tavern. The song's over. Here we come.
And welcome to the tavern. I'm Travis Sivart, host of Talk of the Tavern, and my vices tonight are a Savinelli pipe with Cornell and Deal Autumn Evening, because we're getting towards that time of the year. Yeah. In our live chat, Bree says, those dance moves are perfect. For those that don't know, I dance during the opening music. And what else do I have? Juicy Juice Fruit Punch, I believe it is. Those are my vices tonight. And what about you, Andrea?
So I have my knitting and I have my tea, like usual. How about you, Ed?
I have Meiomi Pinot Noir, water.
Nice.
No cheese?
Later, maybe. I don't know.
There you go. And Bree says her vice is water and Red Bull.
Ooh.
Okay.
Okay, so for this episode of Talk of the Tavern, our topic is going to be, well, kind of generic, because we're going to talk about name brand versus generic, and if it's worth it, going more expensive or cheaper. So, we'll do our opening toast here. Here's to your quality of life. Never let it be generic.
Ooh.
Okay, so Ed, you suggested this topic here. Have you had something happen recently where you're like, the fuck?
Yes.
What? With generic versus name brand in particular.
It wasn't necessarily generic versus name brand. It was going to the store, going through the store, as everybody can probably figure out because I drink it every show, Pinot Noir. I love Pinot Noir. And I was going through the store one time and I saw a $50 bottle Pinot Noir sitting up on the top shelf. I've never treated myself to a $50 bottle of wine, so I'm gonna get that. It was a waste of $50.
So you couldn't just drink one glass and bring it back going, So, aren't you a member of a winery?
Yes, I am a member of a winery, but it's here in Virginia, and the Pinot grape doesn't grow well in Virginia.
Gotcha.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
What region does the Pinot grape grow in?
California, Sonoma, California, of course.
Did you hear about the new Pinot Grigio wine for older people that when you drink it, it makes you pee less? Yeah, they're branding it as Pinot More.
But don't stop writing.
You mean writing the jokes? I didn't write that one. So I just happen to have a Pinot joke. Bree says, I actually got that terrible joke. She also says, I've noticed that some things are cheaper taste way better than the expensive stuff. Now, if you're talking about dating, that's quite often true.
Yeah.
Here's what I found. No, what actually, before we get into it, Andrea, in general, generic or name brand?
I think that's a case-by-case basis because I prefer name brand coffee, but generic raisin brand has more raisins in it.
Yeah.
Is that because the brand sucks, so they got to add more raisins?
Maybe.
So brand makes you poop. Do raisins make you poop because they're like teeny little prunes?
Yeah. Raisin Bran's good stuff, man.
I'll keep that in
Keeps
mind
you
if
regular.
I ever start having those issues. Well, hello, Maria. The tavern has
Hey,
missed you.
Maria. Good timing. Talking about shit just as she enters the door.
That's right. Maria walks in, we start talking shit. So, not everybody poops, Bree. Some people explode.
That's some guys I work with do.
Yeah. Hopefully, I never have to experience that.
Name brand. In that case, you need name brand toilet paper.
We'll talk about that in a minute, because that's fucking important.
That's very important.
So
your fingers don't go through it.
My general experience with generic versus name brand is I was pretty much raised name brand. Now keep in mind, coming up in the 70s and 80s, generic was literally generic. You didn't have store brand. You had a white box with a black word on it, mac and cheese or whatever. And they weren't everywhere in the store. They were like very select items you can get generic. Then stores tried to match. Stores sometimes, by the way, generic is quite often made by the same company that makes the name brand and stocked on the shelves. Not always, but sometimes. As I got older and supporting myself, there's times where money was tighter. So I definitely switched to generic items because of the cost. And what I figured out, not always, but in most cases, I would rather go without it than buy something generic.
Yeah.
When we're looking at macaroni and cheese, I'd go without before going generic. When we're looking at, just a lot of different food products. But now, let's talk paper products. Tissues you blow your nose with, toilet paper, paper towels. Generic or name brand, guys? Ed, Andrea?
Toilet paper, I don't go generic. Paper towels, napkins, I don't go generic because I want it to hold up. I don't want to be wiping my ass and my finger pokes through.
Mm-hmm. Andrea?
I don't want it.
Sorry, kid.
I don't want it to be so rough it felt like sandpaper.
Yeah, I don't like to have toilet paper with splinters. Paper towels, things like that. It just depends. I don't use them very much, so mostly paper towels here are used to clean up cat vomit. So, whatever.
Here's what I'll tell you about paper towels. You see these people going into the dollar store and buying these generic rolls of paper towels for $1. And they have less than half the amount of sheets as the name brand, and they're thin and cheap and don't absorb or whatever. So you've got to use 2 to 3 times the amount to get the same result. By the time you're done, you're better buying the name brand. It comes out cheaper per usage.
Right.
And when we're talking about tissues, well, I've had the generic ones. And if you've ever had a stuffy nose that you've got to blow it on a regular basis, you quickly learn, don't get the generic tissues.
Mm-hmm.
And toilet paper, I think.
Oh my goodness.
What's up?
So growing up, we couldn't afford tissues.
Mm-hmm.
We used toilet paper
Right.
to blow our nose. So, you want to have something decent. Just saying.
Now, a couple comments here in chat. Maria says, see, I don't have a toilet paper preference, except not White Swan. Generic works for me. I typically buy whatever I can get in bulk, so whatever Costco brand or his PC brand from the local store. I just look for the best buy. Unless if I have a horrible, horrible cold, then I get Kleenex. Oh, for Kleenex. Kleenex is a brand, by the way. I get Puffs because my nose in need deserves puffs indeed. And Bree says, do you think the toilet paper hoarders were particular on certain toilet paper when that happened? The answer is yes. I think so. Bree prefers Charmin and says, I totally get the soft tissues with the lotion and when my nose is bad like that. So what about generic Kool-Aid versus name brand? Or generic soda? Generic drinks in general? Anybody
Well,
notice any difference? Mm-hmm.
I don't do a lot of soda, but usually the generics are super chemically sweet. I don't like them.
Yeah. What she said.
I remember getting generic Kool-Aid, Flavor Aid, or whatever it is. There was a difference. There was a difference in the flavor. And soda, yeah, there's a different taste too. Though on occasion you can get like a store brand and it's not bad. If I remember correctly, Sam's Club isn't a bad store brand. Yeah. There is that. Maria says, so as long as the Kool-Aid isn't like a Jonestown thing.
Yeah. Why does it taste so funny?
Giggle juice. What other generic versus name brand things?
Clothing.
Is there such a thing anymore?
There's store brand. Like Walmart or Target brings in certain brands that is theirs.
Oh, okay. All right.
So what I've found in women's clothes in particular, the more expensive the brand, the smaller the number is for your size. It's just a thing. I don't know how it is for men's clothes, but it is for women's. So you spend more to make you feel better about yourself because it's a smaller number. I don't know.
I have never bought name brand clothing. Besides maybe Levi's jeans. And I have found Wrangler, they don't look good on my body. They are, in my head, a generic jean. And I'd rather go with Dickies brand, which is an inexpensive brand. Not that they have jeans, but when it comes to clothes, never been particular because I just don't. Same for shoes. I've never worried about a name brand of shoes, long as it does what I need to do, which may be steel toe or ankle support, whatever. Stylish shoes, sure, but not names. Oh. Okay. Now, Chad has brought up drugs. Just so you know, over-the-counter legal drugs, because you never want to buy generic illegal drugs. You only want the name brand. But yeah, when we look at drugs, and I'm going to read a few comments. Maria says, generic drugs are best. I think it was close to $300 per bottle when I switched to generic for one of my meds back in the day. Bree agrees. And Maria then says, you only want the top shelf cocaine.
Well, that's where they used to keep it.
It's true, back in the pharmacy when we were kids.
Yeah.
In the 20s. They put a little in our soda pop.
Well, that's how Coca-Cola got its name.
True story. So, I'm all for generic drugs because they are literally the same exact thing. Whether you're looking at... Go ahead.
I was going to say, so yes, generic. Like when I buy Claritin, I get the store brand, generic brand, whatever, and then it's like $1 a pill instead of $10. I don't. It's a lot less
Mm-hmm.
for the same thing.
Right. And hold on. I gotta make a note here. Except for I have to wonder. I think NyQuil is different. Like it used to be the same, and I think it's changed now. Maybe it's when they took the alcohol out of it.
Probably.
I miss alcohol in my NyQuil.
Just buy a bottle of alcohol.
Maria says, I do feel like when it comes to the heavy hitter items, I normally lean name brand. Like I have an Apple phone, and this is where we're going to go next. Apple phone and computer, because I feel like they have better quality than what I've had before. Electronics, name brand or not?
Normally for me, yes, as I feel like better quality, they last longer.
Mm-hmm.
Going for sound and usually name brand, better sound.
Mm-hmm. It depends. Andrea, do you have an opinion on this before I start going off on it?
Headphones. I tried generic headphones. They suck. Pay a little bit extra to get something that works.
On the other hand, you don't need like Beats by Dre.
No.
Because they're not all that great. So, yeah, compared to others.
Each their own. If that's what you prefer, you buy it.
Yeah, I can agree with that. If you have the money and you want to spend it, but they've done studies for stuff like that, and what they put into it was a name for triple the price.
Yeah.
But I swear, if you have the money to get a name brand television, get it. It seems to make a difference. A lot of times I'll buy these cheaper ones, and yeah, they just don't seem to hold up comparatively. So let's see here. Then they go into car. Go ahead.
So I was going to say, as I got older, I learned the value of name brand and spending a little extra more for better quality. But, I understand with a lot of people when they're first starting out, that's not always an option.
Nope. So
do what you got to do. And as you get older, it gets easier and you learn the difference between all the things. So
it's true.
Footwear.
Except footwear?
Yeah, always get good quality footwear, no matter how poor you are.
Right.
Feet will be happy for it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, again, you don't have to get Nike or whatever the big name is. What are the big names now? I don't know.
When it comes to sneakers, I don't.
Just get good shoes. And then get good insoles. Not dollar insoles, get good insoles. And start...
That's where I spend all my money.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And start this when you're 20, not when you're 40. Don't make the mistakes.
Well, now you tell me.
Mm-hmm.
See, I managed to talk about feet tonight, lady.
Maria says, I shall agree to disagree, Ed. I buy a pair of sneakers for like $15 at Walmart and I'm good for the year. Go ahead, Andrea.
No.
So.
No, maybe not 15. It might be a little around that price. I've gotten a pair of sneakers from Walmart for that too. And they last pretty well. I pull out the insole and put in the insole that I buy. That makes the difference.
See, Maria then clarifies, to be fair though, I'm lazy and don't walk much.
I do.
Right. And that's what I was going to say. A $15 pair of sneakers at Walmart is fine if you're using to walk to the door, to the car, a half hour in the store, go home. If you spend 8 to 12 hours a day on your feet on concrete, get the better shoes. If you're working retail and you might like, well, retail is carpeted. Yeah, It's a hair's worth of
Concrete.
carpet with concrete underneath.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're working a warehouse, if you're working restaurants, you're on your feet on hard floors all day. Get decent shoes. They will, just wear and tear wise, last better, but they will also support your feet and get those insoles too. And if you buy $15 shoes, go buy $15 insoles to put in them. It'll be worth it.
Yeah.
Maria says, I enjoy the fact that $15, if I ruin them, it's no big deal. And Maria says, I bought expensive shoes from a shoe store. I can't remember the name of the store at the moment. Waste of money. I don't like them. I like cheaper shoes versus expensive. Let's talk about that for a minute. Because once we go to dress shoes, for men or women, as opposed to sneakers or whatever, suddenly, higher dollar does not mean more comfort, support, or better quality.
Yeah, especially with dress.
Right. It's hard for me to find comfortable dress shoes. You know where I finally found comfortable dress shoes? Zappos.com. It's work shoes. Or what's the other one, Ed, that you can order from the catalog? And they're all work shoes, but they have all the different styles, including dress shoes, but they're rubber soles with a good insole. I used to order... Huh?
No.
Used to order from them through DMV, if I'm not mistaken, and other jobs. So, yeah.
Was it Magnums?
No. Why are you bringing up
They can make
condoms?
more than just condoms.
No, and it wasn't a brand. It's a company that sells shoes specifically for like restaurants and nursing and that sort of thing. That's another thing if you're on your feet nursing.
Safe Tread?
Mason.
Nah, I want to say it began with like Shoes for Cruise. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's worth going to Zappos or Shoes for Cruise and getting a good shoe. And they have a ton of styles now. So you don't just have to buy sneakers. And those are the ones it's worth spending $40, $70, $100, something like that. And you will notice a difference if you're on your feet all day.
Yeah.
Maria says, I know some people are against it, but any kind of pretty or fancy shoe that Lauren and I get from Value Village, a secondhand clothing store, in case you often be there. There is nothing wrong with shopping thrift stores for dress shoes.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Barely worn.
Right. So yeah, I will not criticize that. That's for sure. So, closing thoughts on generic versus name brand. Andrea?
I like name brand, but I like the generic price.
Ed?
I think pretty much for anything, it's hit or miss. There's some things the generic is not going to cut it. There's other things generic will do fine. If you can say that fucking word, generic will do fine.
And here's what I'll say. As we mentioned already, hold on a second, wrong thing here. Here's what I'll say. Try the generic, try the name brand. Maybe not with $100 shoes or whatever, but with other things where you can. Save that money if it doesn't make a difference. But if the quality is worth it, pay for the quality.
Yep.
So, once again, here's the quality of life. Treat yourself right and buy yourself what you're worth.